computer recording. Who knows? I bloody just hope it just actually records. I mean, I don't know. I did it with Ree the other day.
Yeah,
so.
that's right. Yeah, I mean, I've used this a lot of time when I'm doing like teaching.
Yeah.
Therapists. So yeah, you're doing it right. I can see it's recording, so it's fine.
Okay, so let's go. What have you got in front of you? Have you got any light in front of you? Just because you're.
I've got this thing.
Oh, okay, fine. Is it on full volume?
I don't know.
With the little thing, just press the plus button.
Yeah,
really bright. Is it? Can you get it? Yeah, more closer. Like that's it. Like a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now you look like you're. That's it. No, that was perfect. What you had it before. No, turn it back on your face. Right, turn it right on your face. There.
Right. Okay.
Can you see? Okay. Welcome to my life. Yes. Eh? I know, every day. Okay. Right. I'm going to start.
Okay.
Okay. So hi guys. Okay, you would have read. Oh, let me start again. Hello everyone. So you would have read the blog post, I'm sure. And if you're reading this, then I'm assuming that you have endometriosis too. And I'm joined by the wonderful Marie Reynolds, who you've heard me speak about a lot over the past few months. But actually, Marie, before that, because I love your skincare so much. You're not just a magician, you also are a magician of skincare, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. So just to give you guys a little insight into my endometriosis, I probably had it really since I started my period, I was actually 11. I was very, very young. My mum had it as well. So, you know, there is some kind of evidence that it can be hereditary. So, you know, it was kind of going to happen to me in some respect, but my other sister doesn't have it. So, you know, also I've never found anything that can really help me. I've had 6 laparoscopies. So a laparoscopy is when they do an operation, you're put to sleep for a couple of hours and maybe an hour, and they do a little camera inside, it's almost in your belly button, and then just another one down slightly. And they burn away any of the endometriosis, because the disease, in a really easy self-explanatory way, is that it means that when you bleed externally, you also bleed internally. So it clogs together a lot of the time, your womb, your bowel, like all of that, and kind of creates a real hostile environment. And it's very painful. It's a chronic disease. But the unfortunate thing, as you know, myself and Marie know, is that there's not much, no one really knows much about it. And it's actually only recently, in the past kind of year, that the doctors and the medical field and the BBC have been doing a lot more research on it and talking about it a lot more. And actually 1 in 10 women have it. So you might not even know you've got it, right? And then you've got it, and you might think, I'm in agony, not just on my periods, but when I ovulate, or when, you know, so many different times you can be in pain at any point. For some people, it's crippling. I have stage 4, which is the worst, but I also have a very strong mind, which we'll go more into later about why what Marie has done with me has worked. But I have a very strong mind, so I don't let things affect my mind. They just affect my body, and then I'm still in control of it. So for me, things like exercise have been a massive, massive help. And we'll talk more about that later. But I just want to introduce you, Marie, because when I came to you, I've known you for quite a while. Like I said, I've used your skincare. I came to see you at Fortnum and Mason's, which is, when you're in London, is where you're based.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I explained everything to you, and explained that, you know, when I was 21, they put me through the menopause and all of this lot, and you said, well, I'm going to help you. Let's try.
Well, see, the thing is, from my point of view, first of all, each and every one of you are different. So when we're talking about endometriosis, a lot of people put things in boxes. But for me, you're all individual, you're all unique, and these are symptoms that are created through so many different factors. And first and foremost, I'm not a doctor, so if anyone has got any issues with endometriosis or pain or any well-being issues, always consult your GP first. But my port of call is more of a holistic well-being. So rather than thinking, okay, we've got endometriosis here, let's do a laparoscopy, let's do this, let's give you some hormones, let's do whatever we can, I look at, well, hang on a minute, let's look at what's causing imbalances in the body. So as you've said, endometriosis can be caused by many different factors. It can be hereditary, it can be diet, it can be lifestyle, it can be hormonal, it can be medication, all sorts of different things. But for me, it's I look deeper and wider.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we said when you came in, and it's very hard for people to get their head around, which is why I don't go in for the, like when you first came to see me, do you remember I said, oh, let me do your chip, and you said, oh, well, yeah, it sort of helped, it didn't really help, and I said, right, okay, and I left it, and then you put a post over Christmas, and you was in debilitating pain and agony, and I said to you, right, okay, look, if you give me 3 months, and I said to you, didn't I, that really, ideally, it can be 18 months to 2 years, but I think 3 months you did absolutely amazing, because it is a condition. It's not something that you can do something and it's going to go away. Yeah. You have to manage it. But it proved that within that 3 months that you saw some results, you know?
No, definitely. And I think that, you know, when we talk about going to the doctor, by the way, I just want to touch on that once more. When we talk about going to the doctor, you have to do that, like Marie says, but what you need to do is you need to make sure you are telling them, if you're in the worst pain ever, you tell them that you're in 10 times more pain than you've ever been in, because they don't know much about it. You need to be referred to the gynecological apartment. The GP can't really do anything. That's not their fault. It's just not their specialist. So you must really make sure you're like, no, this is really ruining my life in so many ways. So, you know, I just wanted to point that out. But what Marie was saying with the holistic approach is also, I think a lot of people, Marie, like, more people now are more open to the holistic approach, aren't they? And I remember, I don't know if it was you, I feel like it must have been you, said something to me a long time ago, which was that Western medicine is obviously incredible. It's an incredible source. It's amazing. But Chinese medicine has been around for thousands and thousands of years. So that holistic kind of approach has been around forever. Yeah. And there's it's like Western medicine is the child. And
well, people say, you see, Western medicine is very, very linear, as like I said. But Eastern medicine, it goes deeper and wider. It's like an onion. So you can peel back one layer and you can get a result for the other 2 or 3 layers. Yeah. And also, Western medicine or allopathic medicine is great for trauma care, like our NHS at the moment. I mean, honestly, we are so lucky and so blessed. And, you know, I've been doing consultations. I always do free consultations, but for all of the NHS staff, I've been, you know, giving them discounts and, you know, helping them out as best I can, because I think they are absolutely just superstars. So this is not an attack on Western medicine, because it is amazing. But Western medicine is more in the business of health or disease management rather than health care in that instance. Like when you go to the doctor, it's all about managing the disease rather than working out what the health problem is. So what I do, and what with Eastern medicine, it's all about energetics, which a lot of people think is a bit woo-woo. I mean, like I've coined the name all of a sudden of the Witch of the West End, but it's because you can't see it, but we all resonate at all different frequencies, you know, and disease starts energetically. So if we can work out energetically, and then from that, your diet and your lifestyle, and backing up and boosting it and working and resetting everything, you've got a much better chance, rather than suppressing and just trying to fix so that you're swan on water. So you'll have anti-inflammatories, painkillers and things like that, which in itself are good, but they also have side effects. So it's a little bit like a pepper gun approach. So if you've got pain, we'll give you a painkiller that's targeting the pain, but it can also cause other things like bloating. It can cause some like brain fog, all other bits and pieces. Whereas this brings everything in, and we work specifically on the layers that we're dealing with.
So the thing that you did for me when we first met, which there was a few things that I remember that I won't ever forget, which is firstly that you told me that within your DNA, which this for me made it make complete sense. You said that within your DNA, it's like a memory bank. It remembers everything that you've ever been through in your life, not just medical, but emotional. So any trauma, any grief, any joy, you know, anything.
And as well as your genetics as well, like depending on what family line you come from, there are things called miasmas. So you said that your mum had endometriosis. So that is a genetic stamp. It's almost like a stamp in her passport that's come through your genetic line. So it's remembered it, you see.
Yeah, it's
So,
crazy. I mean, so you always start, well, I don't know if you always do, but with me, you started by looking at my feet. So let's talk about, if someone was to phone you, they'd have a consultation with you over Skype or Zoom or whatever, and you'd get there, but you like to look at the bottom of people's feet. So why is that?
well, I don't do it to everyone. I only do it to certain people. Like when you first came to me, you was a bit skeptic, and I said to you about, you've got to cut out alcohol, and you was going, I can't do that. I love my Aperol Spritz and my Prosecco. Life's too short. I can't do that. And I thought, right, okay. So some people I go in softly, softly. The thing is with the feet, because I look at people's feet and I can pick things out, people go, oh my God, and then they're switched on.
Can I tell you my one that you did with me? You did two with me. So Marie literally looked at my feet, and the first thing she said was, well, you were born with forceps. And I was like, what the hell? How do you know that? Because I was like, she said, well, it's the way that your feet sit. And then the second thing you said to me was, you're the second child. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm the eldest. And you were like, no, you're not. And I was like, well, no, I am. I know I'm the eldest of 7. I'm the first child. Like, there was no one before me. She was like, phone your mum. So I phoned my mum, and I asked my mum, and she was like, well, yeah, I had a miscarriage before you. And I never, ever knew that. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, I'm in. Because
it shows, and there's nothing psychic about it, honestly, because people think that there's something psychic about it. It isn't. It's all about us looking. I always say that the body is like a human novel. I only know how to read the sentences, and anybody can do it. I used to teach therapists with it. It's only because I get a bit obsessive over it that I'm switched on. And also, over 35 years, I've taken pictures of people's feet, backs, ears, faces from all over the world. So I've got a good, it then acts as like clues along the way that you do it. So when I was saying about that you're second conceived, there's a difference from being firstborn, which you are, but you're second conceived. And it frightens people, it gets their head. So, so I don't do the feet all the time. Sometimes I do, because I can tell certain things as well with the face. Like you can tell, certain things if a person's like a swan on water paddling like hell underneath, if they're outwardly really confident, but inwardly they take a lot of stress and anxiety. So all of these things, pick up. So usually I would do a consultation, but I ask, it's like I said to you, I ask a lot of questions about, what your diet and lifestyle is, about what times you're eating, about what line conception you are. So again, you said about your sister not having endometriosis, that you are, but being second conceived comes from mother's ancestral line. So again, that myism comes down. So it's
what
those
is a myism? What is a myism?
So a myism is like a little bit like a muddy footprint, or it's a little bit like it's a genetic information. Now, let's just say if somebody in your genetic line had tuberculosis, okay, you might have a frequency that shows tuberculosinum. So it doesn't mean to say that you've got that, but you could have a weakness in your lung meridian because of that myisma that's come down. So your myisma is definitely something to do with the uterus and the womb, but that could also be linked to certain other pathogenic influences like heavy metals and parasites and molds and funguses, which is what people freak out about. But we have so many different of those things in us. We have to have them. We have to have viruses. We have to have parasites and molds in us, because it creates our own diverse community that is essential for overall health. So when things happen like they do, our body can be adaptable to it. You see, it's all about evolving. So people think that we're just human beings with just a lung and a heart and a gut and things like that. We're not. We are full of energetic influences. When we're first conceived, the sperm and the egg meets, and it has it has 15 days of gestation, resting, and then it rapidly divides to create the fetus. That first division creates something called the finger of God, or the first line of fascia. And out of that, the first organ to come out of is your gut, and everything else then comes out. Wow. So that's why your gut is not only known as your second brain, it's always the first port of call. It's the king of the organs that you always go to. And that's why I always start the first process of the opening channels, 4 to 6 weeks of working with the gut and the whole alimentary canal, because we're not talking about the gut. The alimentary canal is where we chew and where we poo and everything in between. So that's why the first 4 to 6 weeks is so important. I don't focus on the endometriosis, I focus on resetting. Okay, and that's when the first chip comes into play, and that's where we're sort of like balancing the energies. So even though you're doing it materialistically, you know, and physically and mechanically, we've also got to work energetically. So we've got a double-pronged approach, you see.
So explain to people what the chips are, and then we'll go into what we did for me and how it can help other people. But when you're talking about the chips, because obviously I know what it is, but how would you explain it?
So first of all, with programs, regardless of what you have, I mean, obviously with you it was endometriosis. I always look at testing people, okay, energetically. It's like I say, all dis-ease or imbalance in the body starts energetically. So it starts off where I send you a kit and you send me a tiny little pinprick of your finger blood. Okay, tiny little spots. Now the blood I'm not interested in. It's the energetic information that's all stored in that DNA. Then I test your bloods against all different frequencies that what might be causing imbalance. So these frequencies could be including, you know, your meridian frequencies, the frequencies of the uterus, the frequencies of, you know, because every single thing has a specific signature, and that also includes sort of like chemical strains. So these are chemical strains, don't forget, that we implement through our body throughout our lifetime, but also every day. Now these can be chemical strains through food, through makeup and body things, through our nails, through, you know, all sorts of different things. Heavy metals, people think that heavy metals are just from amalgam fillings, you know, your metal fillings, but we get heavy metals from fish, we get heavy metals from cooking in aluminium pans, from tin foil. So we're, you know, and there's no two ways about it. I would never say you've got to cut all of it, because it's impossible. You can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible. But what we have to do, and this is what I was saying to you, within that time span, you have to reduce as much inflammation as possible.
And because sorry, go on, because say one.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, which is actually for me made the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Does it still say recording for you, Marie, by the way? Because it doesn't say it now.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Sorry, a technical, you know, got to be technical. No, because I think you're right. It's like when you explain that all to me. By the way, look, I've got no nails on. These are my natural nails.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I know it's only a little bit, but look, it's still a full form of detox.
It's still a break. Because when you tested all mine, and I obviously went to see you, so we did kind of a lot of it one-to-one. But when you did all of mine and the stuff that you could tell me, I was blown away. Like another thing that you told me when you were testing was that you didn't know where my endometriosis was in my body. Obviously I know, and I can't remember if you said left or right, I think it was left, but you said your majority of your endometriosis is on your left hand side, and that is almost like your father's side, and obviously caused by the grief of losing my dad, a lot of it could have been made worse by that. It's things like that I was like,
because you see, with again in Oriental diagnosis, the lungs are brother and sister to the skin, but they're also linked heavily to reproduction. Okay, and you'll often find as well that under emotional stress and trauma, again, you'll wake up between 3 and 5, which I think you did as well. You was having issues with your sleep, wasn't you? So again, you'll find that these emotional type people, and also these emotional type people, lock down. So again, it's what we call the silent sobber. All right, so sometimes the skin cries, or sometimes you'll wake up between 3 and 5 and you'll have this restless sleep, or you'll find that you're absolutely shattered, but you'll go to bed and your brain's like run it hard. So yeah, and the left does, especially with emotional connotations, link with the father, and especially as well.
Yeah, and like the thing for me, so in case you guys don't know, if you haven't read the post, what Marie asked me to do, which we, as she mentioned earlier, she'd asked me to do a few months before, which was summer, and that's why I was like, don't be silly. But then, like Marie said, as soon as in December, I had one of the worst periods I've ever had, well, that I can remember, because honestly, between the ages of probably 14 and 17, the amount of times I had to go to hospital, and I was rushed to A&E for collapsing being in like so much pain, throwing up, like no one knew what was wrong with me, because I actually didn't get diagnosed till I was 21, but that no one knew, and they thought like I felt like I was dying like every single month, like it was horrendous. So this, and I've managed my periods really well and as much as I can, and Theo's obviously amazing at helping me through that pain, and I just get on with it. Like I honestly just get on with it. Yoga has been a huge help for me, so is swimming. But December, it was on Christmas Day, I was at my auntie's house. I honestly had the worst period of my life. It was so embarrassing because I was literally there on Christmas Day, and I stood up, and probably just talking to girls here, but there was literally blood everywhere on my auntie's white sofa, and I was so mortified because there was people in the house that were like family friends as well, and luckily no one saw. I texted my cousin, and she was opposite me, and then she got everyone to go in the kitchen. We sorted it out, and I literally had to crawl upstairs. Like honestly, it was like the worst. It was horrendous. It was so horrendous. And my auntie was like, "What the hell, Lisa?" And I was like, "I know." And she said, "Right, this is it now. You have to do something about this, because I've been having this pain since I was 11, but obviously this was so bad." And then that's when I spoke about it, and then you said, "Right, we got to do this." And I was like, "Absolutely." And honestly, it was hard, but it's one of the best things that I've ever done. So for you guys, we'll talk about why Marie told me to do this, but forget all the medication that Marie gave me for the moment and the chips, because that's Marie, obviously, to talk about that. I've been eating gluten for 13 years because my dad was celiac and I was recommended to give it up at the time. So I haven't actually eaten it for a long time. So Marie told me to give up gluten, dairy, caffeine, sugar, red meat, and Prosecco, i.e. alcohol. Now, for me personally, and I had to do this whole routine of taking all this medication, which, like I say, we'll speak about in a minute. I didn't find the food actually that hard, and actually for the first month I didn't find any of it hard, because we were in January. That memory of that pain was still very much there. So I knew it was going to make me feel better, and at first it made me feel worse, which you told me it would do.
Like purges.
Yes.
So what purging is sometimes with toxicity, our bodies goes through something called homotoxicosis, and that means that either our body pushes toxins intracellularly, so that's where you get that pain, or you get feeling of like brain fog or lethargy.
Mine was like legs, wasn't it? Do you remember I messaged you? Mine was legs. It was like, yeah, I felt like I had flu, and my legs were so painful I couldn't walk properly. And I messaged you, and you told me to get some bath salts, which I did, and to order 20 minutes minimum in the bath, and to put my legs up. And within 2 days, it was absolutely fine. But
but actually it's a good sign. And this is what people, and it's the same with the skin. Some people, if I put them on a program, their skin flares up or they start getting breakouts. And I say, please, the last thing you should do is stop. Because people panic and they go, "Oh my God, I feel terrible. I feel like shit. I don't want to do anything. But actually, it's a good sign, because it's your body getting rid of all of that toxicity, drinking plenty of water, going for walks, and just resting. So, and just making sure that you take a note of it. And and this is what I always say as well. With everyone, I'm always saying to them, it's not a case of I give you this program and it's a cut and shut. We check in, we talk again, and if ever you've got any problems, you check back in. I'm there holding your hand all the time.
Yeah.
But and it's like I watched that thing that you did with Ree, and you was talking about cheese and the difference between her eating cheese and you eating cheese. The difference is because if we're talking about allergens or intolerances, I always say cut that out for a good 4 weeks and then slowly introduce one food group. If you introduce a food group and you haven't got any allergen to it or any bloating or any, that's fine. It's not a main stressor. But if you're introducing another one and you start getting those pains again, or you start getting reactions, that's clearly a main stressor.
Which was amazing for me actually to do that for 3 months, because what I have noticed is that one thing that Theo noticed immediately, and that you'd noticed as well, and I think it's come back a little bit now because I have been eating dairy, is a blocked nose. And I obviously have eaten some cheese since, but I'm definitely eating it less now. Like I'm having oat milk. Don't really drink that milk. I used to drink a pint of milk every single day, like cold milk from the milkman. Like I love milk. But now, when I gave up dairy, I could not believe the difference. It wasn't necessarily my stomach. It was my blockage in my nose. And the weight.
I noticed it so honestly because, and I said to you, I hope you don't mind me saying this, because I've really noticed that because it was quite nasally sometimes when you were sleeping, and it was just complete. It was almost it went completely.
Yeah, it did.
And your sleep improved as well, didn't it?
Pardon?
Your sleep improved.
Oh my God. Okay. That for me, apart from the lesser pain, which we'll talk about in a bit, and also the bloating, the sleep is, I can't even. So like Marie said, I had the worst sleep. The way Marie described me earlier, which was about like my mind constantly, that is me. That is me. My mind does never stops. I'm always thinking, what's next? What's next? I have never, as far as I remember, had 8 hours sleep solid. Now I sleep for 8 hours every night. I might wake up in the middle of the night once to go for a wee, but I was waking up constantly and could not get back to sleep. And like you say, like 3 o'clock, between 3 and 5, that was such a key point where I literally was just awake, and it was so frustrating and horrendous because, you know, lack of sleep is awful. That for me, I can't even like thank you enough.
Well, it's not me, but it's you. It is you, because you have been so, and this is what I'm really keen. All I do is just, and this is why I'm really passionate about doing free consultations. All I do is try and sort of like reveal options for you.
Yeah.
But the hard work is literally you, because it isn't easy. It is hard. You know, it's like you say, you know, once you get your head around the cooking, for those people who aren't vegan or aren't dairy free or gluten free, you know, it is really hard to do it. But, and some people say, oh, you know, I can't give up this, or I don't want to give that, or, you know, classic thing. I say, right, okay, you've got to give up that. And they go, really? And I say, look, you don't have to do anything, but how bad do you want to feel better?
Yeah.
That's the key. That's what you've got to ask yourself. But yeah, it is hard.
Why did you tell me in particular with my endometriosis? Do you tell everyone to do that kind of food thing? Like if someone's watching this now and they've got horrendous endometriosis, obviously the first thing that I would say to them is to email you about a consultation. Obviously you're very, very busy at the moment with everything that's going on, but you would always get back to people anyway and let them know when you can do that. But if they're like, I just need to do something now, is the food thing, do you think, a huge thing for endometriosis?
Yeah, I think a point of call, you've got to look at things that are causing inflammatory reactions, okay?
Yeah.
So all of these conditions are exacerbated by your pH in your body, inflammation and excessive mucus. So that is why those foods are inflammatory foods. And this is why I always say, look, go on Google and just type in an anti-inflammatory diet. There's so many different things out there. There's anti-inflammatory cookbooks. There's loads of things. That's the first port of call. Reducing things like dairy and like red meats and inflammatory foods will then also reduce mucus in your system. Now, it's really important that we have mucus, because mucus stops any bacteria from forming and it allows everything to move, and you know, it's very, very important for our system. However, sometimes mucus can be we can create too much mucus, and when we create too much mucus, that's why what happens when we have a cold. When we have a cold, we create excessive mucus because it's meant to get out all of those bacteria and those nasties. But when we create mucus, we can get postnasal drip, even mucus from down below. We can get mucus from every orifice that we can get, and that's caused by foods that create excessive mucus. And when we create excessive mucus, you get an overload of bacteria and viruses, and especially Candida. Candida albicans is one of the biggest things, and that can also play a part of endometriosis.
What is that, Candida?
Candida is a fungal. Okay, so it's a fungal that resides in us. It's a fungus, and you can also create certain things. I mean, I can go into it, but I'm going to keep it simple because otherwise it'll just freak you out. But basically, we have lots of different funguses in us. Now, Candida albicans is the one that we get when we get oral thrush, and we get thrush down below. But it actually resides throughout the whole alimentary canal. So sometimes you can get an overgrowth of Candida in the esophagus, and it can cause breakouts around the mouth. You can get breakouts around the nose, and especially around this area here, around the liver zone, okay? So it can reside in every which way. So by cutting out all of those type of foods, it reduces that Candida overgrowth. But obviously look at other supplements like good probiotic and an anti-spore supplement, which is why I brought out Eradicate. Eradicate has got those in that.
Can I just say, Marie, that I did notice a huge difference with that. Almost within about 2 weeks, where every day before doing this, I would have too much mucus, and you'd almost like, you know, it sounds gross, but you know when you like sniff and you swallow a bit of like snot or whatever it is, mucus. I used to have, phlegm, that's the word, better than snot. I used to do that multiple times every single day, and you know, obviously that's gross. And now I haven't at all. I don't do that at all.
Yeah, but the worst thing that you can do is swallow it. Even now, for any condition, just put it in a tissue and throw it away. Because when you're swallowing it, you're actually swallowing it inside. And don't forget, we've got other toxins as well in our gut. The gut is the main thing, you know, making sure that you're pooing properly. Because I was always asking you, as you poo. As you poo today.
I was like, same as yesterday. We're getting into Theo was like, well, you've now started a 10 o'clock at night poo. And Theo used to work for Beating Bowel Cancer, because obviously he works in charity. He worked for Beating Bowel Cancer for years, amazing charity. And what they learn and what they always talk about is that consistency is key. Yeah. So as long as you've got, you know, you're regular as such.
It's not poo watch.
Yeah, and I was, and again, because I have IBS as well as endometriosis, but who knows if they're the same thing, or I don't even know. But I was like, honestly, guys, this is the most detail you've ever heard about me in your life, but whatever. I'm trying to help you. Like rabbit droppings.
Yeah.
You know, forever. And then suddenly they were like proper, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, and now they're like proper, honestly. So things like that, because I used to get so constipated, and I used to message you going, God, in the first couple of weeks, and now I don't at all. The other thing I just have to say that I've just thought about that hasn't happened, touch wood, since, is I haven't got a cold sore and I haven't got a thrush. Two things that I used to get quite regularly, that touch wood, I haven't done that. And just so you guys know, I am back to eating stuff and introducing stuff, and I've kind of started to realize what it is the problem, but I am doing 5 days a week of continuing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, it is hard. It's like, you know, endometriosis can have a massive impact mentally, physically, and emotionally. And it's like what you were saying, your emotional state is key here. Yeah. Is key. It is hard, but you have to think, okay, and it's like, especially a lot of women having issues with conceiving as well, because that has a massive emotional impact. But you have to always believe that you can conceive. And it's like I always say that, you know, your uterus, you've got to think of your uterus as not a hostile place. Don't visualize it as loads of this endometriosis. You've got to look on it as like a nursery. You know, visualize these peonies opening up, and you're preparing that nursery. So when you're doing the opening channels, and then the next stage, we look at certain parasites. Do you remember you was taking that tincture that nearly made you vom? And I was so proud of you again. You did really well with that, the wormwood tincture, because what it does, because often certain parasites can play a part of endometriosis in the uterus, you know. So that's the next stage that we do. We would do a nice parasite cleanse and then build that up energetically with the chip. So all along, we've got the supplements and we've got a chip. We've got the supplements and we've got a chip. And the chip is programmed specifically for each stage. And then the last stage is more to do with your balancing your hormones, which we was in there, I think 3 weeks, wasn't we? And then you said, you know, sod this for a game of soul, just because we had the COVID-19. So we had bigger, better things to, you know, focus on. So.
And I'd done it for 80 days, and Maria was like, yeah, I don't blame you. I just opened the Prosecco.
Yeah, go on.
Greatest day of my life. But what I was going to say about the medication, obviously you subscribe to what it is individual, and it's all homeopathic medicine, right?
And there's supplements, that are high-grade supplements. They haven't got any bulking agents, and they are prescriptive only. Because the thing is, when people go on with certain vitamins, they think, oh, well, that sounds good. I'll have a bit of that, and that sounds good. So they self-prescribe. That's the first thing. And the most important thing, and this is what I've spoken about time and time again, there is no point in you taking supplements if the fundamental foundations are toxic. You have to make sure that you are resetting everything and working with the elimination organs, because it's a little bit like planting or expecting a healthy harvest from a field that has got a toxic waste. If no matter what fertilizer you put on, so let's just say the fertilizer are your supplements, no matter what fertilizer you put on that field, if the field is toxic, you're not going to get a healthy harvest.
Yeah.
What we have to do is excavate that field, start feeding it and laying down the foundation so that when you put the seeds in, you're going to get a good healthy harvest, which is what we did. And that's what it takes. A lot of people now want a quick fix, which is why they go to, they'll take the painkillers, they'll take this, they'll do this, they'll do that, but it might give you a small bit of relief. But actually, if you can focus and do this for really a minimum of, I did it primarily because I wanted to say, look, I believe in it, I know, because I've treated so many people, and I never ever claim that I can treat endometriosis or treat IBS or treat this. I always claim, let's just do a profile and let's see how we can balance what's imbalanced, because that's my job. My job is not to treat endometriosis, that's your doctor's job. Yeah. My job is to find out what is imbalanced, how can we work on your diet, and how can we energetically reset you through supplemental support and your diet. And you've done it. And as I say, it does take time. So it takes time. You've got to be committed to the program. And also, it is quite expensive. Like the chip alone, to be tested for the chip alone is £250. But that includes what your first chip. Then the second chip is another 120, and then the opening channels is usually about £500. Yeah. So it is a lot of money. And I always say, and when people say, oh, please, can you just recommend, just one or two things? There's no point. It's a waste of money, because the opening channels works on the whole process. There's no point in working with your gut if your liver is still not supported, or your kidney, or do you know what I mean? So it's a waste of your money. It's better really that you just focus on what you can do, reducing anti-inflammatory foods, going on a clean diet, cutting out the things that you can do. Also sanitary care, making sure you go with organic sanitary care, because
I've been doing since you told me that.
Yeah, because, a lot of people don't realise that your regular sanitary care is laden with lots of formaldehydes and bleaching agents and fine cotton filaments. And when you're actually placing that in your vagina, which is the most absorbent part of your body, it can create things called xenoestrogens, and it can also create further inflammation that then can exacerbate the endometriosis and IBS and skin conditions. So it's like an ongoing thing, and I know, like you say to me, the things you get me to do, but even doing like chamomile douches, which is really important, because if you've got an acidic environment there, it's important to make sure that you alkaline it. So a chamomile douche, by making up a jug of chamomile tea, letting it go cool, and then every night just douche yourself in the bath or over the toilet.
Chuck it over your bits.
Yeah, just
like that. Because I was like, what's the truth?
Flush your fanny. It's the best thing for you.
But I think that for me, obviously, it's going to be interesting now when I have my period. Like now, I've kind of stopped the whole thing. But let's say my period was a 10 in pain, and ovulating as well, because that's also usually very painful for me. I'd say that it went down to like probably a 5, which is like crazy. And also where they were like 8-9 days before, it went down to more like a normal, really 5 days, but really 2 days of it being like heavy. So that for me, and also the bloatingness, like I'm now, you probably can't see on camera, my stomach would usually be like, honestly, wasn't it, Maria? It was like out here, but no exaggeration, out here, and now like it's just not. And I've been able to wear clothes that, I didn't think I'd ever wear again because like the bloatingness, and, it's little things like that obviously make you feel good. So what I would say to everyone is like, it's worth the investment. And like Marie says, if you can't afford to do that to start with, just try the food, try giving up the food, try and see what's causing you the issues. But I just feel so much better. I feel like my skin has gone like so good. Like one thing that you noticed, which I look back and notice, my eyes are much whiter because they were going a little bit yellow. It's just, it's made such a big difference, which is why I'm continuing it 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's brilliant. And as I said, I don't talk too much because it's hard for people to understand about the energetic side of it. It's hard for people to understand what I do, but actually fundamentally you've just got to know that as human beings we are not just 2D creatures. We're not just flesh and bone with a heart and lungs and a gut. We have we have a mass variety. We're 99% bacteria, walking bacteria, only 1% human cells. You know, everything else is a diverse, cultural, you know, living, communicating, you know, community of cells and bacteria and viruses and pathogens. So how can we all be the same? How can one condition affect us all the same? It's dependent on environmental factors, emotional factors, genetic factors, dietary factors, so many different things. And so that's what I do. I try and work out, okay, well, let's see if we do this and if we do that. But fundamentally, the most important thing is the opening channels, is resetting, you know, making sure that that field is excavated.
And also, just so you guys know, I'm not doing the chip anymore, but I am still taking the supplements, not all of them, but I'm taking like some of the supplements still, which I'll continue to do probably like, well, forever probably. I don't know how long I have to do it for, but
yeah, I mean, you just play it by ear, you know. I mean, at the moment there's things like, I mean, because you're taking Gynacord, aren't you, and Endopath F.
Yeah.
F, yes. So they're homeopathic supplements that work primarily on balancing, you know, the hormones there that will help with that. But Inflammatone is a really good one to do. But even with the non-prescriptive one, Calmeric is really good. Eve is really good. They're my supplements that I've done so that you don't have to have the password for it. But Eve is fantastic. And 3-Set is very good. That's an adaptogen that's really good to help, you know, with hormonal balance and mood and all things like that. And also making sure that you're drinking water. I cannot stress the importance of intracellular hydration, because you've got the hydration duo that you put in, the water. Because if you're intracellularly hydrated, your cells have got the energy to take on the information needed from food, from everything else. Water is not enough. You have to have an ionic mineral, really, or get those devices, those hydrogen devices. I don't know whether you've seen, I've got the H2 cap you can put on, but hydrogen devices, you can get them as well. So yeah, being intracellularly hydrated is really important.
So I think that the key thing, guys, is that what I'll do is obviously below the video and on the blog, whether you're watching it on the blog or YouTube, I'll put all of Maria's details. I know it's quite overwhelming when there's like a lot of information, but you just need to know that if you have followed me for a day or for years, or you're new to watching this, that I'm so genuine about everything I say. I never bullshit you. I'll only tell you what really works for me. And this has genuinely really worked for me. And actually, it's been 3 months of my life. And I think, you know, it's been so worth it. I'm going to be really annoyed with myself if I don't continue it 5 days a week, because I feel like it's made such a difference. So that's why I'm doing that. And I have never had anything that's been able to help me over the past 20 whatever years more than this has helped me. So endometriosis, like I say, so many of us have it. But if you want more information about this, contact Marie and her team. And be a little bit patient, because she's very busy, very busy. But Marie, like, honestly, I know I've said it like before, but I just thank you so much for everything you've done for me, because like you said, you've been there every time I've WhatsApped you stupid questions, like you've responded like immediately, like you've helped me so much. And I just, you know, I'm so grateful for that. And
no, thank you. I want to thank you, because, you know, I have so many people that say, oh, you know, when am I going to get results, or when am I going to do this, or, you know, is there just one product that I can take? And it's really hard to get your head around, but you have been so committed. So, you know, I need to thank you as well. And has Theo noticed a difference?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, Theo's kind of blasé to everything, to be honest. But, you know, when he was sat there drinking a beer in front of me, when I'm like, dude, like, when I was like in it all, I was like, guy, like Theo, like, we're gonna get divorced if you like drink anything in front of me now. It's not fair. But no, he has. I think that for Theo, like, he's such a caring person, and we've been together 16 years, so he's seen so much of this, but he's been at every single operation that I've been through. You know, it's frustrating for him because he can't physically do anything to really help my pain. And every month, like, you know, I wish I could take a bit of it away. So now it's just amazing for him, because he's just like, you know, I don't really get down about it, and I kind of just get on with it. But when I'm in pain, now I'm in less pain, obviously, it's made a difference to him. And, you know, I've always got a lot of energy, but now I've got even more, which is really fun.
No, but that's the thing is, it's like I said to you, and it's like I never ever promise. And I said to you, look, The worst that you'll get out of this is that you'll have a fantastic detox and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
The benefit is that it has made an impact on the endometriosis. Realistically, this is something that you need to do, like be on the supplements for a good, like, and cut everything out for a good 18 months, especially if you're, you know, looking at, you know, cleansing all your system. And but you've also got to remember that this is a condition that has to be managed. You can't, you know, you can't get rid of it. You can't. It's a condition that has to be managed. So it's not a case, and it's literally a lifestyle change that you have to do.
Yeah.
That's where you get results.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you, Marie. Don't go anywhere because I'm going to speak to you afterwards. But thank you guys for watching this. Please feel free to share it because, like I say, there's 1 in 10, it's probably more than that, women that have endometriosis, and it's not spoken about enough. So don't ever be afraid to speak about it. You can always message me. And, you know, if you want to try this, try it. Contact Marie. Let us know how you get on. I want to know as well. And thank you again, Marie. And thank you for watching. See you guys later. Thank you. Bye. Okay.